The Galactic Union Hall was silent. Representatives from 400 species sat around the spiral amphitheater, encased in glass, spores, or pressure fields, depending on biology. Every seat was full, every face solemn. Because this wasn't a debate, this was surrender. The Varkari Empire had crushed 6 outer systems. They were a plague of scaled warships, genetic berserkers, and sun-drilling siege weapons. They offered no mercy, only terms. And the Union agreed. Except one species hadn't responded. One seat remained vacant, Earth's. Chancellor Crix of the Lithari Hive clicked impatiently. Humanity abstained, not unexpected. They are young, unstable. Their silence is refusal by default. A dozen delegates nodded. Others gave nervous glances toward the empty chair. Then the doors opened, not slowly, not politely. They slammed open. A single figure entered, armored in black ceramite, helmet under one arm, dust and dried blood still caked into her gear. Captain Vila Reyes, Earth's 7th Expeditionary Fleet Commander, eyes like a fusion core about to detonate. Behind her, a metal container, no escorts, no apologies. She marched straight to Earth's empty seat and didn't sit. She walked to the center. The Chancellor opened his mouth. She dropped the container. It thudded and rolled. When it stopped, every delegate saw what was inside. A Varkari warlord's head, still bleeding, mandibles froze in mid-scream. Vila leaned on the table and looked up. Surrender to who? No one spoke. The silence wasn't out of fear. It was out of shock. Because the warlord's head didn't just belong to any Varkari general. It was Morgur Dune, the one leading the siege on the Celestes cradle. The one whose name made planetary defense grids shut down early. Chancellor Crix hissed. This is unauthorized. You had no jurisdiction. Vila stared at him. The Varkari didn't ask for jurisdiction when they glassed Centauri 3. A pause. They didn't ask for a vote when they set fire to the bone forests of Elnath. So I didn't ask permission when I killed their god general. The Cathari diplomat spoke, voice a series of vibrating lights. You act alone, you endanger the peace. Vila smirked. There's no peace. There's only you hoping they don't come for you next. She walked past the head. I'm not here to negotiate. I'm here to remind you. Earth doesn't surrender. Earth doesn't wait for a vote. And Earth sure as hell doesn't need your permission. Footage of the meeting leaked in less than 6 hours. By hour 9, 7 oppressed colonies began rising up. By hour 12, Varkari ships started exploding in their own harbors, with no known attacker. By the end of the day, the phrase "surrender to who" was etched in 6,000 languages on warships across the stars. And Earth's fleet had already vanished. Off comms, hunting. The Varkari Empire didn't respond to Captain Ray's stunt with words. They responded with fire. Within 20 hours, they launched retaliatory strikes across 4 sectors. Civilian hubs, Union-aligned outposts, not military targets. Examples. A message. Human defiance costs everyone. But they forgot one thing. Humans were already used to loss. What they weren't used to was staying down. Captain Vila Reyes wasn't just Earth's top fleet officer. She was a survivor of the Saturn siege. She'd lost her brother during the fall of Enceladus, and her file was marked with 3 separate notations. Unfit for diplomatic reassignment, combat-focused psyche, extreme retaliatory instinct, which made her perfect for what came next. She didn't wait for orders. Orders were slow. Vila moved fast. She hit Garun Delta first, a mid-tier Varkari logistics station orbiting a gas giant, shielded, armed, didn't matter. The Escher, her flagship, exited slipspace inside the defense perimeter, close enough for Vila to see the panic in the Varkari bridge crew's faces. They broadcast a warning. This is sovereign territory. Withdraw or be. They were gone before the sentence ended. She used kinetic rods, metal, silent. No energy signature. No heat trail, just math and velocity. The station cracked in half. She didn't stop. Next was Esresh Hivepoint, not even a military node, just a breeding facility. But it was where Varkari commanders were hatched. She didn't destroy it. She boarded it. 32 minutes later, her team emerged with the Hive Queen's crest impaled on a shock spear. Vila's only message to the Union Council was 6 seconds long. She held up the crest. You want to wait for consensus? Fine. We'll be out winning while you count votes. By now, other human fleets began following her lead. Not official, not declared, but coordinated through silence. Attacks on known Varkari strongholds became surgical, precision raids, shock incursions, no prisoners. Because they knew what surrender meant. They'd seen it on burned colonies, in silent refugee transports, in shattered orbitals where children floated without names. And yet, the Union kept calling it reckless. They tried to reach her. She ignored every message, except one, a private transmission from Chancellor Crix himself. You are escalating a galactic war. Do you have anything to say in your defense? Vila finally replied, a short vid. She stood in front of another Varkari wreck, smoke behind her, gun still hot. She smiled. Yeah, you're welcome. The Galactic Union fractured by the end of the second week. Half its members condemned Earth's unilateral violence. The other half quietly cheered. They'd wanted to fight. They just hadn't known how. Now they had a blueprint. Her name was Ray's. Humanity never made a formal declaration of war. They didn't need one. Vila's warpath was the declaration. Her fleet split into ghost detachments, ships that moved like whispers through dead systems and left burning wreckage behind. No signals, no broadcasts, only aftermath. And the Varkari Empire, for all its rage, was unprepared. They were used to enemies who crumbled, not enemies who hunted. Operation Smokeville hit the Varkari data bastion on Geltor Prime. No explosions. Just silent atmospheric infiltration by Ray's infiltration squad. 48 minutes later, the entire communications grid of the Eastern Varkari front collapsed. Not sabotaged. Copied. Ray's now had every Varkari encryption key, and she used it like a scalpel. She began pretending to be them, ordered their fleets into ambush zones, issued false retreat signals right before orbital firestorms. One fleet was ordered to bombard its own resupply station. They did. The confusion spread faster than damage ever could. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, whispers grew. Have you heard what the human did? She doesn't wear a flag. She carries a warlord's head like it's an ID badge. She walked through a plasma storm with no armor. The stories weren't always true. They didn't have to be, because legends travel faster than ships. Other species started defecting from the Union, not to join Earth, to join Vila. A ragtag alliance began forming. Ex-military, rogue captains, fringe operators. They didn't agree on law, culture, or doctrine. They agreed on one thing. They didn't want to die with their hands in the air. One Kalari tactician called Ray's the death vote. She's the one you send when you'd rather burn than kneel. But even Deathworlders aren't invincible. Varkari Command adapted. They built a trap on Tarva's drift, lured her with fake refugee signals, used scorched earth gravity mines to rip through her fleet's flanks. The Escher took 4 direct hits. She kept going. Vila breached their flagship in a stolen escape pod. She exited carrying the Varkari Admiral's communication core, still screaming. Her reply to the Union Council's request for status. One word. Working. The 4th week began with silence, not from Earth, from the Varkari. Their fleet stopped broadcasting. No threats, no ultimatums, just disappearances. Outposts went dark. Supply lanes abandoned. High-value warlords missing. No signs of retreat. No signs of surrender. Just absence. Like they were being unmade. The Union panicked. Not because they missed the Varkari, but because they didn't know what Ray's was doing. She'd stopped reporting entirely. No video feeds. No recovered cores. Only scattered wreckage too clean for battle. A whisper spread among the Union ranks. She's not fighting them anymore. She's erasing them. A hidden session of the Union Emergency Council was called. This time Earth was invited. They didn't send a delegate, they sent her. Captain Vila Ray's walked in unannounced. Again. This time no armor, no head, just a small case. She placed it in the center of the council table and opened it. Inside, a Varkari treaty, signed, sealed, stamped with the claw of Supreme Strategist Zalarkrek, a complete unconditional surrender, gasps, confusion, accusation. Impossible. Zalarkrek would never yield. Reyes didn't blink. He didn't. He begged. She didn't smile when she said it. She looked tired, not defeated, burned out, like someone who'd walked too far into the void and come back carrying pieces of it. The Lithari Chancellor leaned forward. You did all this without orders, without oversight. You undermined diplomatic cohesion, you triggered chaos, and now you want us to thank you. Reyes stepped close, leaned across the table, voice calm, quiet. I don't care what you do. Keep your treaties, stamp your reports, rewrite history if you want. She glanced around the room. But don't mistake silence for peace. The next time you vote to surrender on Earth's behalf, she pointed at the case, you won't get a head, you'll get a planet. When she left the chamber, no one stopped her. No security drones moved, because the Escher hovered just outside the station window, black and still, like a judgment waiting to descend. Over the next month, Earth recalled most of its fleet, but Vila didn't return. She left behind no coordinates, no signal, just her warpath, and a message encoded in Union relay systems, triggered every time the word surrender appeared in any transmission. Surrender to WHO. They never saw her again. But in the dark corners of the galaxy, where tyrants rise and invaders gather, the story goes like this. If you spill innocent blood, if you raise your banner above someone too broken to fight back, if you dare to forget what Earth did when it was pushed, you'll hear a sound behind you, a voice like cracked metal and burning ozone. And it'll say, we're not here to talk.